There are so many people out here saying that the American dream is dead or it has just completely disappeared. In my opinion, I think that the American dream is still very much alive. The American dream did not disappear. All right. People have just stopped believing that they could find that dream in America. Because while previous generations dreamed about buying a house, starting a family, and moving up in life, this generation is sitting at work researching how much it costs to move to South America or Europe or Asia or anywhere that their paycheck just goes somewhere or actually means something. People are no longer dreaming about becoming CEOs. I remember when everybody wanted to be a boss, everybody wanted to do all this work. But now people are dreaming about leaving. And America should probably be asking why.
I'm an American. I live in a 200 square foot flat that has no bedroom. I pay almost $1,800 a month for it now. That's not including utilities. I work full time. I work 10-hour shifts. I work 5 days a week. After I get my paychecks, if I'm to take out rent, utilities, my car payment, which is a 2016 used car, if I take out insurance on the car and medical expenses for my medication, I'm left with about $50 a month to cover for gas, food, and anything else I might need, such as like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, literally anything, except going to a doctor. Like, I haven't seen a doctor outside of my psychiatrist for like 3 years now, because fuck, I can't afford that shit. So needless to say, I'm in debt. I was already in debt, but just in the last year, I've added $10K to my debt because girls gotta eat. When I made a video about this last year, I got a lot of hate for it online. People saying I need to just pick myself up by the bootstraps, that I'm not trying hard enough. But I think people in America now are realizing that, like, yeah, you're one small step from getting to where I am, to homelessness. And more people are living like me every day. Degrees don't matter here. It just matters what kind of family you were born into, I guess. If you have money, you can sit in a bank and make money. But if you're a worker, you're not really a person here. You're just an asset. And where do you go when it's illegal in some states to be homeless? Why are we considered one of the wealthiest nations, and yet we have almost 1 million people on the streets living, and we can't take care of them? Why are we starting wars and sending money to other countries instead of helping the people here? Or even just using that money for good overseas instead of fucking evil? Americans are so used to hearing fake news that most of us probably still aren't aware of how the world actually works or what history it's actually had. And most of us are just trying to get through each day. We want to leave. We want to have a better life. How do you leave when you don't have money? How do you just go to a different country and not just be homeless there? How do you even get there? I'm an American, and I'm just the average American. Don't come at me for the word flat. Granny flat is a thing in the United States.
I just saw a study that if you make $100,000 in this year of 2026, it is the same as making $32,000 when you compare it to the 1990s.
Imagine working an hour just to afford 1 pound of ground beef. For the first time in American history, a pound of ground beef costs more than the federal minimum wage. Yep, America has officially lost the plot. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Meanwhile, ground beef can cost you anywhere between $6.50 a pound all the way up to $9 a pound. And if you want organic, baby, bring your wallet and a cosigner. I need y'all to think about how wild this is. The thing we used to call a cheap option for dinner is now competing with folks' hourly wage. And then you're constantly being gaslit by your leaders, told that the economy is doing great. For who? Because a lot of American families are working. They're doing everything they're supposed to, but they still standing in the grocery store, studying the math like they preparing for the SAT. Leaders listen to you when you struggle because a leader will try to solve your problems. But when you're being gaslit, somehow the problem's going to always be you. You're not working hard enough. You're not budgeting enough. You're just not sacrificing enough. Meanwhile, hamburger meat got promoted, but your paycheck stayed the same. How are you guys handling these grocery prices? Because if ground beef is making more than some Americans are making per hour, we need to have a conversation, folks.
The American dream, as we've known it, is dead. It's not coming back. The American dream, for those of y'all who might not be familiar, was to, work hard, overcome your circumstances, become successful, get a good job, go to school, the whole shebang, right? Buy a house, get married, have babies, white picket fence with a dog, the whole shebang, and then just enjoy the fruits of your hard labor. That is dead. That is over. I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible. It is exponentially harder now than the America I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. No. What a lot of millennials my age find ourselves fantasizing about now is making American money outside of America. The new American dream is to get the fuck out of here. Because this country is not the same one I grew up in, man. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know this country has always had its problems. I know its foundations and roots are soaked in blood and that they really haven't done the requisite work to atone for that. But I could at least say when I was coming up in the 90s and early 2000s, and hell, even the 2010s to a certain extent, that we were trying. Genuinely, as a whole, we were trying. There were people trying to hold us back and take us back to the Stone Ages. But the general consensus is that we need to keep moving forward. And we were, until Donald Trump. Now, I'm not going to blame him exclusively for this because there is a whole machine behind him that is making this possible. But he was the catalyst. He was the linchpin that galvanized the worst of the worst in this country. And as a result of that, him and his minions have set us back decades, literal decades. And that is not an America I want to live in. I wake up every day fucking ashamed. Ashamed of this government, ashamed of this country, ashamed of what we have allowed to happen. And if I could be so bold, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. I fantasize about getting the fuck out of this country at least twice a day. I sit there and I really game this shit out. Okay, how much money would I need? Where would I go? What kind of job am I getting? What kind of life could I have overseas? I really think about this shit at least twice a day. The only thing, and I do mean the only thing keeping me here is my wife. That's it. Because I know her whole family is here. She would never really live overseas and she would never give up her job as being a teacher here in DC. She love them damn kids too much. But if not for her, man, I promise you I'd be gone because I'm tired of this bullshit here, man.
The American dream, what is that? Whatever it is and whatever it used to be is now dead. There is no American dream. The American dream used to be you were young, you got a job. College or no college, you got a job, you started working. You saved up money. You found somebody, bought a house or built a house, had a couple kids, had a little piece of property. The problem is now, today, that's unattainable. You can't get that. So 99% of people now live in apartments because you can't buy a house. You can't own a home and have a family and support your family on one income. Back then, like in 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, usually the husband or the father worked. Mother stayed home with the kids. That's not even a thing anymore. Now two people got to work. And if you don't, it's not easy. It's a struggle. But the American dream is dead. Unfortunately, that's not a thing anymore. All we can do now is just try to get into one day to the next and kind of hope for the best and just get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep. And that's it. That's the American dream.
Come pay rent with me and have a panic attack. I woke up and I was like, man, why am I nervous? It's because I have to basically pay my entire month's paycheck to rent today. And I know what you might be thinking. It's not that bad. It's just a number on the screen. No, because I don't have enough numbers on the screen. Every month, it just feels like I work, and I can't afford to live. Or live, laugh, love, as some may say. Anyways, after I got ready today, I was like, you know what, just get it over with. Like, the money is in my account. I had to transfer it over from my savings, which I really didn't want to do in order to pay my rent this month. Then on top of that, I have a car payment that I need to pay as well today. And for my financial stance, I just like to pay everything all in one day so I don't have to worry about it the rest of the month. It's a clear statement the first of the month. I pay my credit card, I pay my car, I pay my insurance, and I pay my rent all on the first of the month. I literally was having a panic attack this morning, and I just feel like I'm never doing enough, and I'm never enough, and I will never have a savings, and I'll never be able to buy a house. And I was just going down the rabbit hole this morning. Then, to make matters worse, I go to have some grapes this morning, and then I open up my Sam's Club grapes, and why are they all freaking expired? Literally bought them 2 days ago, and then I was like, what can make me feel better? And I always know that putting on any colored Hokas will make me feel better. I put on my orange Cliftons this morning, and I just said, let's get on with the day.
We are not pissed off enough. Not about the rent, not about the food, not about the fact that literally everything costs more every second you fucking look up. While every paycheck just leases you back your own life. Every week, every 2 weeks, or hell, in some cases, for some people, only once a month. We should be furious. But we've been taught to just stay calm and be professional and just keep it respectful while everything around us just keeps falling apart. They've really built a system that's so exhausting that people don't even have the energy to be angry anymore. They'll sit in traffic for 2 hours, work 10 more, scroll through news about corruption and layoffs, and then just sigh and say, well, it is what it is, and then do it again tomorrow. That's not the peace that we deserve. That's defeat. We've been so used to being mistreated that fairness feels like a fantasy. We're so used to struggle that survival feels like success. And the few who are pissed off, the ones who refuse to pretend that this is okay, they're labeled negative and lazy and crazy. They're actually the only sane ones left. Because if you can look around and still think that this is normal, you're not strong. You're extremely sedated.
A big old fuck you to whoever created a convenience fee for me to pay my rent. Fuck is convenient about paying this rent online? What is that? $33 to pay $1,200. I have to pay $33 to pay $1,200. Fuck you. And my wife and I have been door dashing for this fucking rent to make the rest of this rent. Tell me why. Oh, I thought we had all of it. We got all the rent. Right? Okay, great. We get to go home. It's 2 a.m. We're ready to go home. I go to pay it. Tell me why we are $2 short on this rent. Fuck you.
It used to be so simple for the average American to achieve this dream. All we had to do was just work hard, not go to jail, build a career, buy a home, raise a little family, you know what I'm saying, and then eventually retire. That was the deal that we got. You gave up your time and your labor to the system, and then the system was supposed to give you stability. But we all know now that that agreement has completely just lost its value. It has just completely timed out, and it doesn't even feel real anymore. People are out here working full time and they're still struggling to afford basic necessities. They are out here earning more money than their parents have earned ever in their entire lives, but somehow they can't they can afford less. They have better degrees, more qualifications, and more access to information than any generation before them. Yet they still feel like they're falling behind. Like seriously, you can do everything right and you can still lose. How is that even possible? You can go to college, get the respectable job, avoid the necessary debt, follow a budget, work overtime, and yet you're still one medical emergency or one rent increase or even one car repair away from destroying everything that you've built. And this is what makes people so angry, bro, because it's not simply that life is expensive, it is that responsibility does not seem to be rewarded anymore. I mean, you can literally sacrifice your 20s building a career and still not really qualify for that house that your parents purchased on one income back in the day. You can literally make what used to be considered a good salary and you will still end up needing roommates. You can receive a raise at work and you will literally just watch rent, insurance, groceries, and utilities take all of it before you can even get a chance to enjoy it or even invest in yourself. And then society is going to look at you as the problem and they're going to be like, hey, man, your spending habits, man. You got to stop spending so much, dog. Stop buying that coffee. Stop buying, that expensive crap, restaurants, traveling. Stop enjoying yourself, man. Stop living life, okay? Basically, stop living so that maybe one day you can afford to live later. Maybe. Guys, I'm here to tell you that that is not a dream. Okay? That is survival with better marketing. People are starting to realize that they are not building a life. They are maintaining their ability to keep on working. They wake up, go to work, come home exhausted, and recover just enough to do it again. And then they will repeat that routine until the weekend. And even the weekend is not really free to them because that's when they have to maybe clean up, shop for groceries, run errands, and prepare themselves to go right back to work. That's why so many people feel like time is just passing by, but their life is just not moving forward. They're doing everything society asked them to do, but the reward just never arrives.
A record number of Americans are reportedly leaving the United States permanently. Not just moving states, not just taking vacations, actually leaving the country, and in some cases, even giving up their US citizenship altogether. According to new reports, 2025 may have marked the first net population loss from Americans moving abroad since the Great Depression. Think about how insane that is. For basically 2 centuries, America was the place everybody wanted to move to. Now thousands are trying to figure out how to get out. And the reasons people are giving? Unaffordable housing, sky-high living costs, political division, burnout, people saying they feel like they're surviving instead of thriving. One poll found that 1 in 5 Americans would permanently leave the country if they could. Mexico has become one of the biggest destinations. Europe is seeing record numbers of Americans relocating, and the number of people officially renouncing citizenship has exploded compared to past decades. Before 2009, only a few hundred Americans gave up citizenship each year. Now, it's nearing 5,000 annually. That's not normal. And honestly, whether you're left, you're right, independent, whatever, this should probably set off alarm bells for everybody, because when people start giving up on the country itself, that's bigger than politics.
Get out of America. This will not be for everybody. Some people love it here. Great. For those of you who are on the fence, leave. Quit your job, max out your credit cards if you have them. Take whatever money you have and go. You will figure it out when you get there. Pick a country and go. I would say the top ones right now are probably Thailand, Bali, the Philippines, Vietnam, China. Just get the fuck out now, as soon as you can. This is not fear mongering, okay? But this is for the people who have been thinking about it, pondering on it, on the fence about it. Go. Trust me, you will not regret it, okay? You will not regret it. Because what is coming, I can't even say, but I can feel that something is very off and very wrong.
No one is prepared for what's about to happen in the US in 2026. The systems that were supposed to support a good life just aren't working anymore. And this is why more and more Americans are seriously looking at leaving the US and moving to Europe this year. And here are the top 4 reasons why. Let's go. Number 1, affordability. Even making 6 figures a year in the US, you can't even afford a basic lifestyle. Number 2, housing. I know you're so tired of compromising on space, safety, walkability, and still paying more and more every single year. Number 3, healthcare. I know you want a system where getting sick does not turn into a financial crisis. And number 4, being in the US feels stressful all the time. Between the politics, the violence, finances, and everyday pressure. I've been living in Europe for the past 3 years, and I can tell you that life feels so much calmer here. I have helped hundreds of Americans move to Europe the past year, and I'm telling you, the ones that are leaving and moving to Europe, they are choosing a life that feels so much more sustainable. If any of this resonated with you, make sure you follow Michelle the Lux Nomad for clear legal steps on how to leave the US and move to Europe this year.
Wealthy Americans are building exit plans while us normies are being told to calm down. Henley & Partners 2026 Private Wealth Migration Report says high net worth families are building what they call sovereign portfolios, and Americans are the most active nationality acquiring residency rights abroad. That means residency in one country, citizenship options in another, banking somewhere else entirely, and assets being spread across multiple jurisdictions. In other words, they're diversifying countries the way they diversify money. So when a normal American says, I think I need a plan B, suddenly everyone has an opinion. You're paranoid, you're being dramatic, or my favorite, you'll be back. But when wealthy people do the same thing, it gets a beautiful little name like sovereign portfolio and a private wealth report. I'm Natalia, and I help people find a way forward in this global shuffle we all find ourselves in. I made the American Exit Guide to walk you through the paperwork so that you can start building options abroad. It's in the link in my bio. Look, you're not crazy or unpatriotic for wanting to play the same game the wealthy have been playing for years. Send this to the person who keeps telling you you're overreacting.
People think you need to make 6 figures to live well. But in some parts of Mexico, $6,000 a month can buy a lifestyle that $12,000 in the United States barely keeps up with. Let me explain. In the United States, a lot of families are making good money, but they're running non-stop just to keep up. Rent, property taxes, utilities, everything just keeps climbing. But in places like Mexico, cost of living can be so different that families can actually afford help. Housekeeping, childcare, tutors, not luxury, just normal life. So maybe the real question isn't just how much money you make, it's how much life money actually gives you. Sometimes you have to step outside the system to realize you're in one.
A 2-bedroom apartment for $3,000 a month in the city? How does anyone afford this? I pay $1,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment here, and that's pretty normal. Between my car payment and insurance, I pay about $900 a month. I don't need a car. I live in a beautiful, walkable city, and I pay about $60 to $120 a month for public transportation. I pay close to $1,200 a month on groceries, trying my best to eat healthy. I spend about $350 a month of shopping from local, fresh, whole foods, and my stomach feels so much better. I pay $6,000 a year on health insurance, and that doesn't even cover out-of-pocket costs. I have universal health care, and I pay about 80 euros a month for a private doctor. My utilities and internet cost $400 a month. I pay about $120 a month total for utilities and internet. I really need to leave the US. My cost of living is so high, I can't even enjoy my life anymore. I'm so glad I left the US and moved to Spain.
I moved from Detroit to Thailand, guys, and this is a year in, and when I tell y'all, y'all cannot pay me enough to move back to Detroit, to move back to the cold, to move back to the US. Y'all can't pay me enough to do that. When I tell y'all, it is beautiful here. I ain't never met no genuine people like Thai people. Like, I'm being so freaking for real. It's actually safe here. Like, it's a great place for families, a great place for children. Even if you're single and coming out here, this is a freaking great place to live. The pace is so chill here. Like, I've gotten a complete reset of my nervous system. I know when I posted a video like this when I first got here and it was like 4 days in, everybody was like, oh, you're not gonna last a year, oh this, oh that, oh they don't like black people there. That's not true, not true at all. We have been enjoying our time here, and it's been the most amazing experience for me, my family, my husband loves it, our children love it. It's been the most amazing experience ever. And like, I always knew that I was supposed to be somewhere tropical. And for a while I knew it was gonna be Thailand, but like being able to get here, freaking life-changing. Being able to live here, freaking life-changing. But the only way that we were able to do this was because we learned how to make money online. I started off TikTok shop in 2024. I did not believe the numbers that people was putting up, but I just tried it because I was driving Uber all damn day. So I said, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I tried it. I ended up in a completely different country, in a completely different tax bracket, and it has completely changed my freaking life. Now I've been able to help so many other students do the same exact thing. Quit jobs they hate, relocate, buy new cars, buy new homes, make 4, 5, and even 6 figures in a single month. So what I'm telling you guys right now is that you are literally one decision away from changing everything in your life and living the dream life that you desire. And all these places that you would love to travel to, you can go to.
And I believe that this is why moving abroad has become such a powerful, I mean, a powerful fantasy to many Americans nowadays, because people are sitting in offices, literally watching videos of apartment tours in Thailand or Mexico City, right? They're watching Americans explain how much they spend living in Thailand. They are, comparing, they're out here comparing grocery prices somewhere in Colombia. They are out here researching digital nomad visas, remote jobs, healthcare systems, and countries that they might actually be able to afford a natural life in. And for many people, it's not really about adventure that they're looking for. I think the main reason that people are doing this is for the relief. They're not searching for another country because they suddenly hate everything about America. Hell, I argue and say that mostly people that you see living in other countries, really love America, right? They didn't want to leave. I bet you they really didn't want to leave, but they are searching, life abroad because they are tired of, paying premium prices for a life that doesn't really feel premium. And if you're out here struggling in America, and you make good money, you're doing everything right, you're not just some kind of weirdo out here, doing like all the sex tourism stuff. I know that's a real thing, right? But if you're someone that is an honest person that genuinely wants a better life for themselves, and you see all these people living great lives that are no different than you, they don't make more money than you, but their quality of life is just absolutely insane. Why would you not give it a shot? I mean, people are tired spending most of their income on a small apartment. They are tired of needing permission from a company to take a vacation. They are tired from, sitting in traffic for hours just to reach a job that could probably be done from home, if we're being honest. And more importantly, they're tired of feeling guilty every time that they spend money on something that brings them joy and happiness. They can experience all these things and then they'll go open TikTok on their phone and see somebody living overseas on more less than half of the American's income. They out here having a decent apartment, they eat fresh food, real food, okay. They walk around their neighborhood with no fear in their minds. They can travel, they have time for friends, and like they may not be rich, right? But they just, they look peaceful. They have a different, look in their eyes. Like there's like actually life in their eyes whenever they talk about their life. And honestly, peace has become the most valuable luxury in America. And we like obviously we all know that social media can make moving abroad look easier than it really is. There are visa restrictions, taxes, language barriers, cultural differences, loneliness, and a challenge of being far away from your family if you're close with your family. Every country has their issues. There is no magical place where nothing goes wrong. We all know this to be true, but that is not the most important part of this conversation, if I'm being honest here. The most important part is that millions of people are willing to consider leaving everything familiar because staying has just become that much exhausting. Think about that. The unknown is beginning to feel safer than the life that people already have. There are people out here that would rather learn a new language, understand a whole new culture, and rebuild their entire social circle than continue living the way that they are now. And that is not just some kind of wanderlust. That is dissatisfaction. That is a person looking at their future in America and deciding that the risk of leaving might be smaller than the consequences of staying. And you know what, guys? For years now, and for decades, I mean, success in America had a very specific image. You have a large house, an expensive car, a prestigious job title, a very busy schedule, a person who was always busy and always working, but people are really starting to question whether that version of success was ever worth it in the first place. Is it even worth chasing anymore? Because what's the point of having that impressive career if you never have time to really enjoy your life? What's the point of owning a large house if you spend all of your time working to pay for it? What is really the point of making all of this money if stress, debt, and exhaustion does it just consumes every part of your day, every thought in your mind? I am starting to see the shift in society and what we really want our life to look like and what the meaning of rich really means nowadays, because it's really changed into, a growing number of people not wanting to be rich but wanting to be free. People nowadays are not striving to make millions of dollars. People are striving to get their time back. People want to be able to walk in the middle of the day. People want to travel without begging a manager for permission. People want to visit their families. They want to have hobbies again. They want to wake up without feeling like their entire existence belongs to a company. And that should not be considered laziness. I think that is pretty normal if you ask me. That should really be considered human. America has spent decades teaching people that their worth is connected to how productive they are. If you are not working, you should be thinking about work. That's how they want us to operate. If you have free time, you should create some kind of side hustle, right? If you have a hobby, you should try and monetize it. If you are resting, somebody else is supposedly getting ahead of you, right? Everything just has to become income nowadays. Everything must become content. And I believe wholeheartedly that everything shouldn't be content, guys. Okay. America is supposed to think that everything should become another opportunity to work. And now, like, we have people out here burning out over this very idea. They are realizing that maybe success is not constantly moving upward. Maybe success is having control over your own time. Maybe success is actually living somewhere that does not require you to sacrifice your health to afford basic comfort. And maybe success is earning less money, but actually having a life, because that's the real reason people are planning their escape. They're not giving up on the dream of living well. They are definitely not doing that. They are giving up on the belief that suffering is a price that they must pay to deserve it. And don't get me wrong, like, at the end of the day, I love America, right? But it is very disappointing and sad to see what America has become now. Like, we were all promised a very different version of America than what we are seeing now. And honestly, the only thing America is good for, in my opinion, is just making money and doing business. Okay. This is a great place to make money, no doubt about it. But this is not the place to live at. You shouldn't want to spend the majority of your money here. Okay. The American dream is not dead whatsoever. It's just changed quite a bit. Okay. The American dream is getting a passport. And the most dangerous thing for America is not that people are angry about this, is that they are beginning to realize that they may actually have other options.